All right, we are now recording. Everyone looks lovely who I can see. And with that, I'm going to drop in the chat our detailed agenda as usual to support all of our understanding as we go through this. And I see everyone has their first and last names up, so thank you. In the chat, detailed agenda, putting it in there. Everyone has access to it. Can you turn CC on, please? Yes, let me see. All right, CC is on now. Thank you, Adriana.
Oh, hang on. I think is she having an issue?
She said it's working. It says a lot with though. It says, is it working now? Let me see. It's still not working. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Yeah, it's not, the CC is not working. Adriana said it's okay. Okay. Thank you, Adriana. I really appreciate you rolling with this. Okay. Thank you so much. All right. So we are recording. It is 10:11. Everyone has their first and last names up. And so I want to thank everyone for being here before I hand it over to the chair. And I also want to thank Tegan King, who is one of our amazing reporters from the Wisconsin State Journal, who's also joining us. You all have seen her amazing articles helping to inform our public about our process, how we're doing it, why we're doing it, and also important things about education and MMSD. So thank you, Tegan, for joining us. And with that, I'm going to pass it to the chair to get us started.
Good morning. Thank you everyone for being here. With that, I will start the call to order the 2026 renaming Citizens Naming Committee of Chavez School today, August 17, 2025 at 10 a.m., 11 a.m. In the morning. So my first order of business will be to get this agenda on the table. So can I please get a motion to bring the agenda up? I'm sorry, I can see people. Hold on for a second. There you go.
So as a reminder to folks, in the detailed script below, we would need someone to make a motion to approve the agenda, and then we would need a second as well.
Jamal Jones, motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Jamal. Can I get a second, please?
Stephanie Fredrickson, second.
Thank you, Stephanie. Is there any objection to record an unanimous vote to get the agenda on the floor? If so, please say so, raise your hand. I don't see any raised hands, so the agenda's on the floor, so we get that going. It's approved. Thank you, everyone. Chelsea?
All right, let's go into roll call. And so with that, I'll call your name. Please state if you're present. Yannette Figueroa Cole.
Here.
Christina Anhalt-Neath. Tessa Asani. Vanessa Seen Shelton. Dr. Karen Menendez-Kohler is absentee. Yuli Davila.
Present.
Great to have you back, Yuli. Hope you had a great vacation. All right. Stephanie Fredrickson.
Present.
Jamal Jones.
Present.
Heather Kelcher.
Here. Present.
Nate Curley.
Present.
Carissa Negley. Bobby Naramore. Denny Naramore is absentee, and Hector Vadilla is not present. And so with that, we have present 1, 6. So we have 6 present. We have 2 absentee. And I did check in with our legal team, and they said for the vote, as long as we have 4 folks present, we can still proceed. And so between those who are physically here as far as 6, and then we do have 2 absentee, thank you all for being here. We're at a total of 8 who are able to participate in the voting today. So thank you so much for being here. And with that, let's move into our public comment. And so there was, as far as folks signed up to speak, there was 1 person who was signed up to speak, but I have not seen them come through yet. And that was in support of Maple Grove Elementary School for the renaming of Chavez. And then, and if you're following along, I'm on page, I'm at the top of page 5. So there were 26 written statements for this meeting, and I'll read those out loud as far as the themes from those. So Roberto G. Sanchez, there were 18 in support of that name and 1 opposed. This was by far the most popular suggestion. Many of the supporters are parents or recipients of the Sanchez scholarships. They strongly emphasize his philanthropy, his legacy as a positive role model, and the importance of having a prominent Latinx figure representing the school and the community. The single opposing comment stated a general preference that schools should not be named after people. Maple Grove Elementary, there were 3 in support of that renaming. Supporters suggested naming the school after the street it is located on, which is Maple Grove Drive, as a simple alternative to avoid naming controversies. Ice Age Trail, Ice Age Elementary, there was 2 in support. This name is suggested for its local geographical relevance. Supporters note that having the trail in the neighborhood provides great learning opportunities for students regarding history and Wisconsin geography. Jeff Erlinger, and that was Jeffrey Clay Erlinger is the full name on our list. There was 1 in support, suggested for his advocacy for people with disabilities in Madison. The commenter highlighted his qualities as a positive role model who modeled grace, courage, civility, and humor. And then Solidaridad Elementary School, there was 1 in support, which also we have Sol in parentheses on our finalist, suggested to honor the legacy of the farm worker movement and affirm Latinx culture, language, and history while focusing on a lasting principle rather than a specific individual. And so I will again remind the public, for our conversation's sake, that we are able to name our schools after people. It is a part of our policy. And so while folks have expressed interest, and I'll get more into that data, that they would prefer for it not to be named after a person, that is allowable per our policy. So moving on to our homework. Our homework was to review the feedback and prep for the final vote. And so there was extensive feedback, and I'll highlight a couple of those things as we go into our discussion for today. But as a reminder, everything was listed as far as all public comment to date since we started the process, and then also the amount that we would have received. Also for homework, anyone who needed absentee, thank you to those committee members who got to me ahead of time, letting me know that due to travel plans, they could not be here during this time, but still wanted to support our process after being here the entire time. And also thank you to our legal team for making this happen, because their votes also count as well. So with that, going into our ways of working, as a reminder, as far as what we follow together to make sure we have a smooth and positive process, we anchor ourselves in policy 6700. We prepare before we arrive. Thank you all for doing that. We share the floor. We respect diverse perspectives. There are no walking quorums. Remember, that's not us texting each other or trying to solicit and advocate towards a name. We will have one unified voice with our finalist. Absolute duty to disclose, trusting the process, protecting data integrity, respecting the clock. Thank you everyone for being on time and working through me with our technical difficulties. And then as also thinking through bringing positive, liberatory, and joyful energy. And so some updates as we go into our next portion. And if you're following along, I'm halfway at page 6. If you're not following along, that's fine. So some updates. I know that there was conversation across all 3 committees that there's a lot of feedback around how much are the renamings costing. We've also seen that in the comment for folks saying like, why are we spending money on this? And I actually want to thank Tegan King, who's on the call with us. She published an article in the State Journal. I also linked it here, and I'm making sure it's on our websites, saying that on average, it costs about $30,000 to rename a school. And so that would be the amount as you continue to have neighbors or colleagues who are asking that information. And again, I'll make sure that that's on all of the websites. Also, I received clarification from our legal department regarding our policy and the interpretation of it. So originally, we came in with the understanding that we could have up to 4 names. And of those 4 names, half, 2 needed to be prominent deceased people. That's been our understanding the entire time. However, I was told that because this is an existing building, they're not under the same rules as a new building. So I put it in there. It's very small, but I linked it as well. If it were a new building, half would need to be a prominent deceased person. Because it's not a new building and it's an existing building, we can have up to 4, and there are no rules around how many need to be a prominent deceased person's name. So let me repeat that again, because I know that this is something new that we're processing. As we go into our decisions today, we can still have up to 4 names to recommend to the board, and there are no stipulations as to how many would need to be a prominent deceased person's name. Are there any questions about what I just shared? I want to make sure we all have the same understanding. I'm seeing no hands raised and no one's come off mute. So I will take that as we're in a good place with that. If for some reason something does pop up for you though, please interrupt me, stop me, unmute, and I'm happy to discuss it further if it's anything is unclear. And so with that, we're going to go into our discussion and preparing for our final vote. And so I'm going to pull up for us what I already shared, and I'll screen share too. I'll also drop it in the chat if you don't want to look on the tiny screen. And again, I don't think I stated for the record, but I want to make sure everyone knows that Stephen Blue, the assistant principal, is in the room with Principal Karen Mullen as well. He just went off his computer because of the bandwidth issues. He didn't want me to get kicked out of Zoom, but our assistant principal is here as well. All right, with that, here is our Chavez feedback in which we're going to go into an overview for. And then I will share screen and highlighting a couple pieces for you. I'm working off my laptop to you all. I don't have my dual monitors like our usual meetings, and I miss them right now. All right, so with that, so I know it looks pretty small right now. So as a reminder for the Chavez hearings, I did provide our scores for the names for when we voted the first time, and that is in our tab. And as a reminder, we have 16 names. Then for total feedback, I did go through and totaled the total number of submissions and comments for each name that's been proposed in tracking the amount of feedback we've received. And so we've discussed many a time that we're listening to all of our community. There are diverse perspectives amongst our community. There are some folks who are sharing in different ways. And so the tallies there as far as total amount of comments are really there to help us to think about what is the breadth of community feedback and or support for certain names to help us with our decision. I also want to remind you, because folks felt this push with Elvium and Lindbergh, you are not the ultimate decider. Our board is. Our job here today is to come up with our list of recommended names for the board to then make their decision. And again, we can have up to 4 names if we choose for that to go through. Moving on to the next piece of processing for our discussion. I want to go over our policy and our rubric and just regrounding us in our vote for today, knowing that we're still working under policy 6700. I'm going to drop our rubric, and remember that was our digestible form in understanding the policy, which is several pages long. And so I put it in the chat if you want to look at it by yourself. It's also linked in the agenda. I'm also going to share a screen and just go over that, grounding a conversation. And so as a reminder, when we went into scoring, there's 2 sections that we will think about. The first one are basic requirements and popular recognition. We've talked also across all 3 committees, what does popular mean? And I think that is good feedback for when this process continues for other renamings. However, we can think about popularity as far as the amount of feedback and what we've heard from our folks. So thinking through how well known or historically important is this person, place, or idea. So as we go into our vote today for people, thinking in the back of your mind, is this person widely known and remembered for their historical contributions under the board's rules? What makes them so special to Madison schools that we should pick them over other historical figures? For landmarks and places, is this landmark or place well established, recognized by local residents, and historically or environmentally important to our region? For ideas, virtues, concepts, is this idea or virtue widely respected, long-lasting, deeply connected to great education, and inspiring to everyone? Right, so these are the questions we're asking ourselves as we look through all 16 to come up with our final list. And then as a reminder, section 2 of the policy in which we think through the connection to the Madison community and educational value. So how strongly is this specific proposed name tied to the Madison Metropolitan School District? For people, what is this person's unique connection to the Madison community that justifies choosing them over landmark places? What educational learning or historical value does this local site offer to Madison students? And then for ideas, virtues, concepts, how does this virtue directly align with the district's mission, represent students, and or represent community values? So again, putting us back into that mindset as we prioritize our names for the final list. So a prompt to support our discussion, where do we see strong alignment between community feedback, policy, our rubric, and lived experiences? And so at this time, I'm going to open up for any discussion in which folks would like to process aloud with their fellow committee members, what they're thinking around a proposed name or names. Reminder, this is not where you're going to say my top 1 right now in my head is X, and then 2 is Y, and 3 is Z. That's not what we're doing, but really thinking through the names, all the feedback you've reviewed, the process you've now been in for many weeks, the whole summer, anything you'd like to process with the group. And with that, I will mute and anyone can start their own thoughts.
Has our researcher looked into the Sanchez name more?
So I do have a part where Gail can give us more information. And actually, Nate, thank you for the question. So I'm going to bump her more than up. So for anything that Gail would like to add to the group, because she did contribute across the other committees. Gail, are you there and able to provide anything more about Nate's question and just all the names in general? Gail, you're muted if you're talking.
There. What specific extra information are you looking for? And did you find the folder on him in the link?
No, sorry, I guess I have not seen that folder. Where
Oh.
is that?
Chelsea? So he hasn't looked at that whole box, that whole link to all of those things?
So that
he-
is if you go to Chavez feedback, and if you go to the tab that says research, and then it's linked over next to the name. It's Gail's research. So
Oh,
let
okay. Yes,
me-
I have. Yeah, I have seen that.
Okay, got
so-
it. You did see that one. Okay, great. Wanted to make sure.
What additional information are you looking for then?
I guess I'm just, if we go into this with a name that the community brought forward, I just want to make sure like we've kind of crossed all our T's and dotted all our I's and done the due diligence to make sure that there wouldn't be any surprises down the road, right? Because we did have a name that was proposed that was then we had to drop. And I just want to make sure if this, any name that goes forward, we've done the work.
So what I can say to that, Nate, is Gail has given us all the data that she has. And then as someone who's been very much listening to the community, no one has come to me with any concerns or disclosed any concerns. In fact, I was with a lot of community members this weekend between 100 Black Men Backpack Event, Africa Fest, and just things going on with back to school. And I've not heard any concerns raised to me about Roberto G. Sanchez. So thank you for double checking on that.
And the only comment in opposition was just the general feeling of no human names, right?
Correct. And so I
Okay.
will flag for everyone. Thank you, Nate. And I will flag for everyone. And I have it there in the agenda, but I'll read it out loud. I had a really great question from one of our committees. You know, when we think about not having names of people, what is the feedback around that? What's the quantity of that feedback? Because it feels like I'm hearing this a lot, right? So I did an audit of all public comments across all three schools. I did not break it down by school, but all three schools. And so 92 out of 355 submitted public comments, which is approximately 26%, explicitly state or express the sentiment that public schools should not be named after a person. So again, out of 355 submitted comments, 92, which is only 26% of our total body of feedback, believe that it should not be named after a person. Nate, does that help with your question as well?
Yeah, thank you.
Well,
Great, thank you.
I would also say that it's probably not possible with people that aren't famous to dig out any skeletons necessarily. But based on what I had found, the high esteem that he's held by the University of Wisconsin, the information that they provided there, everything that involved him, there was never any red flags about anything. Sometimes, and Chelsea's aware, I find red flags, and this was nothing that was found. So there's, like I said, unless you're dealing with George Washington or Thomas Jefferson or something, or public comments. But this looks like my own assessments looks like a pretty safe guy, but that's just from me. Same thing with the other people in there as well. No red flags necessarily. So with that, I'll bow out.
Thank you, Gail. And Gail, was there anything you wanted to add about any other pieces for Chavez?
No, I think I'm good. I mean, like I try, sometimes I there's much more involved. I do know with Roberto Sanchez that there were plays that he was involved in with directing, I believe, from the university. I mean, I think he started at UW in 1950 on the faculty, if I'm remembering this correctly. And he did, if you can imagine him during that time, I don't imagine there were very many people of his background. And ethnic background and national background. And he did there were plays that were done in Spanish, and I remembered feeling, and I didn't include them all because, you kind of inundate people with that stuff and then they miss the others. But yeah, so, pretty important in Madison community in that regard, as well. But that's all I'm going to say. Bye.
Thank you, Gail. We're so grateful for all of your work. Anyone else, feel free to come off mute if there's something you'd like to process with your fellow community members. Go ahead, Steph.
Yeah, I just wanted to, like having over a quarter of the comments explicitly stating that they don't want it named after a person. I feel like that's, fairly significant, because if people are explicitly stating that, like, that doesn't, then there's probably more that people might be feeling, but they didn't exactly say that. And like we've had several people come on and talk to us about that. And I feel like the only people who are really lobbying for Roberto G. Sanchez is the people that are being affected right now, versus the community members that are like the community in the neighborhood right around Chavez. I've only been hearing, no, like, let's not name it after a person. That's been my take. And so I don't know. I almost wonder, like, do we need to focus more on what the actual neighborhood around Chavez right now is saying versus, the wider area?
So let me jump in here as a district facilitator, okay? And thank you, Stephanie, because it is really important to know what everybody is thinking. Where I'll help with the facilitation of this group are a couple things. We are an entire community, right? And so while there are folks who might have more proximity to the actual Chavez building, as you know, especially with our boundary reviews, there are a lot of different people in a lot of different neighborhoods who attend Chavez. One, so it's trying to balance all those voices. Two, as a district, unfortunately, that has to keep going to referendum. Our taxpayers, regardless of where they reside, support our efforts in making sure we're funded and we get what we need across all 55 sites. And so what I'll add to this conversation, as someone who's been hearing it from all sides across all three schools, and I think I did mention this in the other meeting, different communities want different things. However, we are one large community. And so what I'll add, and what has helped the other two committees of Elvium and Lindbergh, because you do have the leverage to propose up to 4 names, that committee with their final vote felt like the 4 names they recommended showed the breadth of what our community wants, because we do have different communities, whether it's based on neighborhoods, race, ethnicity. We've heard from DLI parents, right? Like we've run the gamut, and that's one of the beautiful things about Madison is its diversity and experience and also demographics. So that's something I can add to the conversation, and hearing that there's that pull, as far as hearing from many communities that would feed into Chavez and want to support Chavez. Heather, I think I saw you unmute.
Am I really loud? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can, Heather. Thank you. And
Okay,
thank you
sorry.
again for being on vacation and doing this. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just I don't know Stephanie at all. I just met her in this group. So we live in the same area, but again, that's kind of the gist from what I'm hearing in and around. And I talk to people all over the community. That is what I'm hearing too, is just you find names for schools that are not people. And a lot of people I've spoke with have compared it to other districts who do use other methods for naming schools, just to not have to continually go through this. I just wanted to share that as well.
Thank you, Heather. And so I think it's important to name too that, and again, I'm gonna push us as a group as I push the other two groups. Having just been, I went to Hegel's open house. They have a new principal, and the Roberto G. Sanchez scholars were there, and the amount of gratitude they had that this was being considered for Chavez. So again, I lift their voice as well because in being right, impartial, and being non-biased, I too am getting the emails from folks in the neighborhood who are like, I really want it to be where we our drive. And then I'm also meeting folks who are Roberto G. Sanchez's scholars who also really want that. So that is that duality that we navigate as committee members who are thinking about our entire community. So thank you for that.
I just didn't want to, I don't mean to disrespect any of the names on this list in any way. I mean, he seems like a wonderful person. It's been great to learn about him. So, and I know two of the people on the list personally that have passed. So, I mean, no disrespect to any of the people. I was just simply saying what I've heard a lot in and around the community. So I just wanted to say that.
Absolutely, Heather.
Yeah.
And we know you mean
Yeah.
no disrespect. So please know that too. I'm always buffering for folks as I'm getting it for all three schools as your facilitator, right? So, and I saw Alder, you were also unmuted.
Yes. And I'm having problem with my internet. Hold on.
We can hear you though, if just so you know that that's at least working if your camera's not working.
Okay, so I can't hear myself in the background because I got you into settings. Hold on.
Do you want me to remove your other one with that? Oh, there you go.
I
Okay,
got
now you
it.
should be good.
Okay, so I want to acknowledge the 25% of the people that feel the school shouldn't be named after an individual. I want to acknowledge that. I also want to recognize, I mean, coming from a city job that is so focused on housing and zoning rules and things like that, where the school is located and who are the primary people that live around that neighborhood. Like, I agree with the assessment that this is a entire MMSD community, so it's not just centered on the particular neighborhood. So when I first started this before I started this journey of being the chair of this committee, way before that, I did share the sentiment that it should not be named after a person. However, we had got so much feedback, not only for this committee, but even for the other committees, on people that are worthy to be recognized and to be that have been a contributor to MMSD's past, present, and definitely future. Because in the case of Roberto Sanchez, the direct impact to MMSD cannot be denied. It's something that is happening currently and that will continue to happen for years to come. And then there was something that Chelsea mentioned at some point during this process that has stuck with me. Yeah, well, two things. One is an MMSD policy. The policy says that we can name schools after individuals versus non-individuals. So there's not really this committee's decision to make about that. Like, we should just pick the names based on their merit, that being a person or a non-person. And then the other thing that really struck with me is like, okay, if we were to send a message that none of the humans are worthy of a recognition, then what happens with all the other schools that already have names attached to them? So I find that extremely relevant, because then it kind of kicks out all the equity and discussions that we have in an inclusion on the topic of inclusion, which is also super relevant here. The school is merged into different languages, and it's kind of like, to me, that's super important. So I recognize the people that don't want to, and especially being one of the same people that didn't want a name of a non-human, or that wanted a name that was not a person. So I'm glad that I was able to like work myself through it and bring that from a feeling and a personal opinion to a more logical space where the list of people that we got, 70 plus people, was extremely significant, and the ones that we chose already to move have they're all worthy to be evaluated at the same level. So I find the discussion about, you know, the not naming it after a person versus a person a little bit like above our task here, to be honest. I don't know if that makes sense.
Right. And I wasn't trying to put any of the
No, no.
names down because they all seem like very, very good people.
Hey, Mom.
Hey, hold on.
Hello.
But it just, I want to make sure that we aren't forgetting that there are still, a lot of people that aren't, that they don't want to have to go through this process again. So.
Yeah. And I just to finish my statement again, coming from the role of an elder where we get a lot of heavy feedback in favor or against something, I always have to center myself on the people that didn't have the time to apply, to have their voices heard, that they couldn't make it here or submit it. So I'm always reminding myself that we serve a city that is over 300,000 people. So almost 300,000 people. I don't even remember what the number is, but so I appreciate not only the people that took the time to send us their feedback, but I cannot ignore the people that did not have the access or didn't have the time to also provide that information. So the number is important, and I really, really appreciate their input. But yeah, I think we should focus on the merits of all the information that we have in front of us more than the opinions are important and the counts are important, but that's just a small part of for me personally, that's just a small part of my decision making process.
And I
Thank
see
you.
Gail has unmuted. Thank you, Alder, and thank you, Stephanie, as well. And Stephanie, it's good to see your little one. All right. All right, go ahead.
I would just go, again, no push in either direction. I live in a neighborhood. I live in Crestwood, which has the elementary school named after it. Just keep in mind also a historical context with this. I mean, back in the 50s and the 60s, there were many, many schools that were built because of the baby boom generation. And the naming of those schools was often pretty quick. So there's a lot of people that were long-term members on the school board. Not to cast aspersions on those, but do those speak to people today? Back in, now there's some that still do. There was also more information that's available. There's digital newspaper searches and different things come out. So people write histories. The case of Elvium, there was in 93, 91 to 93, there were 3 schools that were renamed the junior highs. And as far as I know and have seen, there's probably never going to be, and I shouldn't say never, not likely to be some kind of problem with them. Those are Akiritoki, Blackhawk, Annie Green Crow Whitehorse, Velma Hamilton, and Georgia O'Keeffe. So those have now survived for math, 29, no, longer than that, years, and very relevant. And so, it goes both ways. But just because there would be a reaction currently to naming all names, there is a historical context for doing it. And I really appreciate Alderperson Cole's comments that taking away the diversity that one has accomplished might, there's a danger to that. But those are just historical context to keep in mind. And I live in a neighborhood where we desperately love the name of our school too. So I'll fade out.
Thank you, Gail. And what I can add to the conversation too, and seeing trends across schools, we did have this conversation more in depth with Elvium, but I brought it up with the other committees as well. And I think I brought it up here before too. Also knowing that we're going through a boundary review and knowing that there are kids who are bused into schools, how do they feel a sense of belonging too? And so with that, I say, this is where I want to remind you all of the grace that you have because you are not making the ultimate decision, right? You have the opportunity to give a robust list of whatever amount you think that is, no more than 4, that would show that you took into account community feedback at large. And then you're helping the board to make the best decision based on how you are going to then delineate and prioritize. And then I'll give them all the feedback you've been processing all summer to help them with their decision making. Okay. And I just want to remind you all of that because I feel the angst. I felt it across all 3 committees because this is a big decision. And I appreciate our process and that you all are set up in a way to have a, if you want, a span of choices for our board to ultimately make the decision as well and being responsive to our entire community. Anything else for discussion? We are at 10:50.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Julie, correct. Julie, we cannot please everyone, even we want, because that we have a rubric to be more neutral to make our decisions. I think that the thing that we have to do, we have steps, clear steps. We are here to be just professionals and no pleasure everyone.
Thank you, Yuli. I'm reminded of that every day. Leadership, you can't please everyone. You just do the best you can do. And my job is to set you all up in that whatever your decision is, you are able to be responsive to the community. And in knowing that in our very first meeting, we went through bias training, right? What bias is, what it's not, how to be objective, which is hard to do because this is also a very personal and emotional pull. As you're also responding to neighbors, to students, to families, to colleagues. And so I greatly appreciate you all and thank you, Yuli, also for your comments. Anyone else that would like to contribute to the discussion as far as something that you're thinking about to support your committee members with our final votes? All right, seeing no one come off mute or raise their hand, I'm going to move us forward to the next piece. However, if in your processing something does jump out at you, please just unmute yourself because I won't be able to see it because I'm working off my laptop screen, and we can pause and hear some of your processing as well. And so with that, I'm going to go into what our voting process is going to look like. And as a reminder, I did share this ahead of time, but I'm going to share screen so that we can go over it. So board account, I did link in what a board account is, and I want to thank so much our chairs from Elvium, Lindbergh, and then our own chair, Alda Figueroa Cole, in knowing that this is completely unprecedented again, in which MMSD is renaming 3 schools at once, where before it was 1 school. It could take a year or 2 for that 1 school. Also, the amount of names that were proposed and how we've been able to go through the process and really hear from our community and then prioritize. And so I'm going to share a screen and go through the flow chart, which is also linked in the agenda. It's linked in the agenda. It's also a small picture in the agenda, and I had emailed it ahead of time. So what we're going to do is you will be doing your round 1 will be voting. You will vote for up to your top 8 out of the 16 names. We're going to practice this though. Don't worry. I put that in the email too. We will have a practice round like we did for the first time we voted to make sure you feel comfortable. Then after you vote for your top 8 via the Google form, we'll go into a 15-minute recess in which I will then go through the results. And reminder, your results, I'm the one who sees your results and maintaining your confidentiality. And then Alder Figueroa Cole as the chair will also double check my work and making sure that we are making sure that the math is right, that the math is mathing, okay? Then we'll come back from our recess and we'll go into phase 2. So phase 2 will be, I will show you the top 8. I'll also have them in order based on the vote. Then you will go into a discussion about those top 8. Again, you'll process with your fellow committee members what you're thinking, how you're interpreting this as far as still being grounded in the policy and what's allowable in the policy. Then we'll go into our round 2 of voting, in which you will then vote for up to 4, your top 4 out of those 8. After you vote for those, we'll go into another recess for maybe 10 minutes. That one might be a little shorter. And then I will again compile where the scores are. I'll be working with the chair on that. We'll come back together and I will unveil your top 4. When I unveil your top 4, we'll then go into another round of discussion as far as, do you want the top 4 to move forward? Or do you want 3? Or do you want 2? We will not be submitting 1. And the reason for that is because, again, it's ultimately up to the board, right? And so if we submitted 1, that's us telling the board what to do. And then also for our conversation, absentee voting. So there is a process for that, and that's in the flow chart as well. So those who are absentee, they submitted their rankings for all 16 names. And then those are going to be folded into both rounds because their votes will count as well. All right. So with that, let's go into our practice because I think the practice will help us to see it. And then in the practice, after we finish, then I'll come back for questions. But I know that I think the practice is really going to help us with our understanding. Okay. There is a tiebreaker process that is towards the bottom of page 7. I'm not going to go in that in detail unless there is a tiebreaker. Just so you know, Elvium and Lindbergh, we did go through the tiebreaker process. There were a couple of names that had the same score. From there, it's this, the names that have the most number 1 selections and then down from there. I'll also let you know if there is a tiebreaker situation. So let's go into practice. And towards the bottom of page 7, there's a link that says Chavez. I'm going to drop it in the chat as well. All right, coming to you now, you should get a link. And then I will share screen and go through it too with you in real time and model first. So we are figuring out our top 8 choices for the ice cream flavor for Chavez. And I told the other 2 committees, I'm ready to have a celebration after we get through all this, y'all. Y'all have been amazing. So many hours, so much of your summer. And I'm happy to write to Ben and Jerry's, and I love the chocolate chop and be like, hey, here's the top ice cream choices for our committee. Can you hook us up, right? So with that, you will see this, and this is exactly the same format for voting, but we're just going to practice with ice cream. You'll put in your email. You would then put in your first and last name. And remember, this is just like the form, very similar to the form that we did for our first round of voting. Then you will be affirming 4 statements. You'll be affirming that you have reviewed all the feedback and you're taking that into consideration. You are affirming that your selections align with the policy and what the policy allows. You will also affirm that this is your vote and you've ranked your choices without any influence. And then you'll also affirm that each rank must be assigned to a unique proposed name. So you're ranking the top 8. So for me, my favorite ice cream is chocolate chip cookie dough. You would just go in and you would click within the circle your choice. I want to flag that how this is set up because I'm not able to use the platform I had wanted to use. I had to use this platform because it's free, so our taxpayers are happy about that, in that we're not paying additional monies for this renaming. And then also this is an approved platform. You need to make sure that you click only once in the choices because you can click in more than one for the first choice, which is not something we should be doing, okay? So then from here, I'm just gonna go in order to get through this to show you the process, but you would go in, here are my top 8. Really, mint chocolate chip is my second favorite, but for these purposes, I'm just going to 7. And then you go down to the bottom, and then you will again affirm that you have reviewed your selections and that these are your choices. You would click this, and then you would click submit. You will automatically get your results emailed to you so that you also have a copy of them as well. So with that, I'd like for us to practice. So if everyone can please go in and select their top 8 ice cream choices. And then I will be looking for the results to make sure that everyone is able to access it. And if you're having difficulty, please just unmute yourself and I can help you through it. And I'm going to go on mute while you're doing that. And so I see folks are getting through it. So I see Yuli's has come in, Nate has come in, Alder Figueroa, Cole, yours has come in. Perfect job. Yep. Pick one for up to your top 8. Checking all the boxes. Perfect. See, Heather's just come through. Great. And then if someone could come off mute and just confirm to me that you did receive your results through an email as well. I want to make sure you got those.
Yes, this is Nate. I got mine.
Great. Thank you, Nate.
I also got mine.
Okay, great. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. All right. Karen and Stephen, make sure you vote for your favorite ice cream later, even though you don't get a vote for the name, right? All right. I see Stephanie's has come through. Jamal's has come through. All right. And I think that is everyone that is here present. Yep. All right. So everyone picked their ice cream. If you just did it quickly, resend it another time. So I really know what you like. All right. So with that, are there any questions about how we're going about with the voting? Because our next step will actually for you to get your first ballot for round 1 and to vote for your top 8. Are there any questions around this process or anything that was confusing? Not hearing any and not seeing any through the chat or through hands, thank you. If for some reason something does pop up for you, again, please just unmute yourself and I'm happy to support you with it. So what we're going to do at this time is I'm going to be dropping in ballot number 1, in which you will be ranking up to your top 8. During this time, I'm going to put a timer on for 10 minutes. If we need more time than 10 minutes, that's fine. If you finish within the 10 minutes, you can go ahead and go into our break because as soon as everybody's are in, and I'll also be calling out the names and letting you know that yours are in, then we'll go into our break so that I can compile the scores and the results for our second round. So I'm dropping in the chat now. The form. And as a reminder to the public, I already have the absentee ballots and those will be folded in. So round 1 voting coming to you now. And feel free if you want to go off camera while you're voting, if you don't want your video on. If you need any help, please just unmute yourself. Thank you. All right, I'm confirming that I've received scores from Alder Figueroa Cole, Heather, Stephanie, and Nate. So feel free to take your recess now. Once the 6 minutes is up, I'll be starting the recess window for 15 minutes. Everyone else, please take your time in your voting. There is no rush. Thank you. Yuli, yours has come through. Thank you. So confirming I've received scores from Alder Figueroa Cole, Heather, Stephanie, Nate, Yuli, and Jamal. So I'm going to stop the timer then because I received it for everybody on the call. I'm going to now make the timer for 15 minutes for our recess. You'll see that in the corner, and I'm going to start compiling the votes with the absentee ballots. Thank you, everyone. Alder, I will unmute when I'm ready for you to review. We're not going to go into a breakout room. We're just going to stay in this room. But if you need to go take care of something for yourself, bio break, grab something to drink, totally fine. And then I'll unmute, okay?
Thank you.
Alder, I'm gonna send the sheet your way so you can double check my math, please, and I'm gonna start ranking.
I'm sorry, Chelsea, can you repeat that?
That's okay. I'm sharing the spreadsheet to you now.
In
And
the
if you
via email?
Yep, via
Okay.
email. And so please double check my math. And
Okay.
you want to look at the math tab. And then I'm going to start ranking them so we can double check that their ranking is correct too for the top 8. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Alder, can you hear me?
Yes.
If you look at columns B and C, that would be the order based on the scores.
I'm sorry, Chelsea, say that again.
Yep, I just highlighted columns B and C. That would be the order based on the scores.
Okay.
So I just want you to double check my math and make sure we're good to go because I am human and we're all prone to human error, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to
Yeah.
mute you. The plumber is here, so it's a little bit noise in the background.
You can hear noise in the background?
No, I have noise in the background. I have the
Oh, you do. Got it.
yeah, a plumber
And
here
team,
dealing with something.
go ahead and stay on your recess because we're just double checking our work. I'll let you know when we come back, okay? All right, Alder. Can you hear me?
Just a second, just 1 second, almost done. I need one, give me 1 more minute, Chelsea, please.
Yep, no problem.
Chelsea, I think I'm gonna paste the order that I'm seeing. I think there's a little off here. Just 1 second. Let me see.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, go ahead and paste because what I have is, remember, it's only the top 8.
Yes.
Anything on the absentee that is above an 8, that did not go into the total.
Oh, the absentees
that-
don't go into the total?
Only their top 8.
Right, but
are
you
going
didn't
to-
change. The numbers are only for up to 8, not, you didn't put 9, 10.
Correct.
Yeah, right?
Correct. Yep. And
So,
so then looking above, the math is mathing from what I'm seeing. Because the ones that were above 8, I left the language as far as 10th choice,
correct.
11th, 14th choice. So yep, go ahead and do your ranking and then we'll double check. I'm also putting the numbers next to it just also as a way to double check.
Oh, God, I have so many windows open.
I know. This is where the Mentimeter was so slick for us, remember?
Mm-hmm.
I am putting the totals next to each of them for us to double check the work. So, all right, I'm going to go back on mute while you're doing your thing and then just let me know when you're ready to debrief. And everyone else, we're still on recess. We should be coming back though any minute. Thank you.
Okay, so let me mute myself because I think I'm
All right, Alder, it looks
I'm
like
good to
ours
go.
are Yep, ours are
Mhm.
matching. So I'm going to show everyone. I see you're in the document, the final list in and this one is not alphabetical order. This will be in the order. So everyone, if you could please, if you could come on video just to make sure that we have everybody back, and I'll unveil where we're at. So if we could please come on video, just so I can confirm everybody's back.
Coming. Okay.
Good to see everybody. I know we're on pins and needles. Yuli, are you back, dear? There she is. Okay, great. All right, we have everybody back. And so right now, what I'm going to share with you, I'm going to put it in the link, and then I'll also share screen. These are our top 8, and these are the top 8 based on the scores. So it will read the number 1 has the top score, the number 2 has the next highest score. Okay, remember for the first round, I am showing you them in order. So results from round 1. Sharing now, and then I'll also share screen if you want to follow along. Sharing. Okay, so right now, based on the scores, in order, Roberto G. Sanchez, then Ice Age Trail, then Maple Grove, then Ada Deer, then DeJope, then Soledad Sol, Jeffrey Clay Erlinger, and Lucia Nunez. Okay. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing. We're now going to go into discussion if there's anything that anyone would like to process with the group and looking at the top 8. And then after discussion around our top 8, we will then go into round 2, where of the 8, you will pick your top 4. Is there anything that anybody would like to process upon seeing these results?
How many of us were voting? I'm not sure on like out of everyone who's here, who's voting.
Everyone voted, and the absentees were, and then we had 2 absentees. And so to confirm the number, Heather, just also, that would be a total, oh, my camera's been off. That would be a total of 8 committee members voted, a total of 8, which is also in line with the other committees too. So I'm so grateful to all 3 committees. You all really, really, really showed up.
There's
So I think folks are,
a lot
go
of
ahead,
really
Stephanie.
great names.
Oh,
I
sorry,
was just commenting that there's a lot of really great names.
She'll see at the options. Let me hold before I answer that question. Let me look at it real quick again. So I see
Thank you.
that.
Oh, and if I could just pause you 1 second, Alder. Thank you, Stephanie. Yes, yes. I mean, this has been a very robust process. And so you all have done a great job in thinking about feedback and prioritizing the names. Go ahead, Alder.
This is stressful. So I'm looking at the options for the other 2 schools. Are we presenting them in alphabetical order or in the order of the vote?
It's a great question. So I can go into that piece next, and then I'll come back in case anyone else wants to add anything to Stephanie's comments, and then if anyone has questions like Heather. So what's going to happen is, as of right now, the other 2 committees have asked that the rankings be shared with the board. I have not shared the rankings with the board yet because, in putting myself in the board shoes, if all 3 committees say what their number 1 is, how do they then come up with the final decision? And so it was pointed out that in previous school renamings, people remembered the rankings being shared. And if that's what happened, that's what happened. However, I am working with our board secretary and then also my supervisor, Dr. Carletra Stanford, and then Dr. TJ McCrae works with the board. We're working on the process right now. In my mind, what's going to happen is they will know the rankings for shared names. So for example, Jeffrey Clay Erlinger is coming up across all three names as of right now, all three committees. So they would know if Jeffrey Clay Erlinger was number 2 for Chavez, number 3 for Elvium, or number 1 for Lindbergh to help them with their decision making around shared names. I will let you all know if it changes in that they would get all the rankings, but as of right now, they're not getting all the rankings. It would be in alphabetical order with the exclusion of shared names. They would know where they landed across the 3 schools.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Great question. Any other questions or anything anyone would like to process out loud before we go into round 2, which will be our top 4? Heather, I saw your finger go up. Did you want to add
Well,
something?
I don't know. I'm trying to wrap my head around all this. Is it possible to like how many votes did each one of those get as is that I don't know if that matters.
Yes. So thank you for the question. I am not sharing that. It is based purely on the sum based on board account. And so it's also different in that there are some that maybe got a vote, but they were a different ranking, right? So if it's someone's first choice, they automatically got an 8. If it's someone's second choice, they automatically got a 7. So from there was variance.
Oh, okay. Sorry. This is
No need, guys. No. It's been a whirlwind, right? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to start preparing ballot 2. So what you're going to see with ballot 2, you're only going to see the top 8 in alphabetical order, okay? Because even though I shared the rankings with you, you are still processing this as a community member with your own lived experience, but also thinking about the feedback we've heard from our community now for a couple months, okay? So I'm going to mute myself. Feel free to go off video. I will let you know when I drop it in the chat. You will vote. I will read out again once I confirm that I've received your scores like I did the first time, and then we'll go into recess.
Chelsea, are you talking to us? Because if you are, you muted. And are you?
I'm talking to myself as I'm
Oh,
editing.
okay, good. Just checking.
Yep. I have all the right names on round 2. So All right, everyone, I am dropping in ballot number 2 for round 2. Please go in and select your top 4 out of those 8. And then once I receive it, I will call out the names and let you know that confirm that I have your scores. Then you can go into recess and you'll also get a copy of your scores. Thank you. Confirming I've received Confirming I have received Nate's and Heather's. I've also received Yuli's and Alder Figueroa Cole's. Confirming I've received Stephanie's. All right, I'll go through one more time. So I've received Nate's, Heather's, Yuli, Alder Figueroa Cole, Stephanie, and Jamal. So I've received everyone's on the call. Please go on a 15-minute recess. Actually, I'm going to try to do it in 10 because I know we're about to be over too. So thank you in advance if you're able to stay. And so I'm going to do a quick 10-minute timer, rank the top 4, then with Alder Figueroa Cole, and then I'll call everyone back. Thank Alder, I just shared this spreadsheet with you. If you can please double check the math, and then I'm going to start putting them in the ranking order in alphabetical order.
Okay.
One, two, three, four. Our top ones are 21. She's doing her evil laugh. This is funny. This is fun. This is fun. Picking out different galleries. Make sure I don't spill your Coke all over. This is fun. Thanks, honey. Appreciate you so much. I owe you. We're having a celebration too, then when the renamings are done, just so y'all know. You all. Hey everyone, we're just wrapping up. Alder, if you look at columns B and C, that's what comes out as the top four.
Okay. 1 second. Yep. 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 I got the same.
Great. And so I'm gonna reshare with you the document where they were listed for the top 8. And I've updated this now with our top 4 in alphabetical order though. Remember this is not based on the score. All right, everybody, if you could please come back and if you could please turn your video on so I know that everyone's here so nobody's missing anything. All right, thank you. I know we're at 12:08. We're running a little over. So thank you so much. Heather, I know you're just ready to okay. Go ahead, Heather. Yes.
No, I just wondered, did the absentee people get to vote on the top 8? Like, how did that work?
They voted for both. They voted for the top 8 and they voted for the top 4. So what absentee was they ranked all of theirs 1 through 16. So that's how absentee works. And then all of their responses are then filtered into the top 8, the top 4. Okay, great question. All right, so with that, everyone, drum roll, please. And some of you are already in the document. I'll put it in the chat again. And then and I'll also share screen to go over it with you, but these are currently the top 4 for Chavez in alphabetical order, not based on scores, but only in alphabetical order as we stated. So we went from 76 names and we're now down to 4, which is an amazing feat. You all are truly, truly, truly phenomenal. And so right now, your top 4 are Dijon, ICH Trail, Maple Grove, and Roberto G. Sanchez. And so what we can go into now in discussion is for you all to make a decision on, do you want all 4 to go to the board to support then their decision making? Or would you want 3 or would you want 2? Noticing that Elvium and Lindbergh, they ended up going with the top 4 for the board. And I see some things in the chat, so let me just look. So Yuli has said, let's send all 4. Nate saying, let's send all 4. Heather's saying, let's send all 4. Jamal saying all 4. And remember, the absentees will go with whatever the group thinks because they trust you as members. Stephanie. Okay. So Alder, it looks like everyone has said, let's send up. Yep. Everyone has said, let's send up all 4. So Alder, if you could please call for a motion, a vote approving that these are our top 4 that we will be sending to the board. And then once she calls for that, remember, someone will make the motion and then someone will second it and then you all will vote. Go ahead, Chair.
Thank you, Chelsea, and thank you everyone for this process and all the work in it. This was very stressful. I'm not gonna deny it, but I am very grateful that to be given the opportunity to participate on this. And so thank you to everyone. With that said, I need a motion to send to the board of to the school board the 4 top selections for the Chavez committee, which were in alphabetical order: Dijon Elementary School, Ice Age Trail Elementary School, Maple Grove Elementary School, and Roberto Sanchez Elementary School. So a motion to get that on the floor.
Nate Curley moved to submit these 4 names.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Stephanie Frederickson, second.
Thank you, Stephanie. Is there any objection or recording a unanimous vote in favor of submitting the 4 names to the school board? If there's any objection, please say so or raise your hand. I don't see any hands raised. With that, the motion passes. Thank you.
Congratulations, Chavez, CNC. Y'all
Oh
did
my
it.
God.
All right. And I know we're over, so I'll just quickly wrap up next steps because it is 12:12. Okay. Deep appreciation. You all are absolutely amazing. This list, I think, very much speaks to it being well-rounded of what we've heard from community feedback. It's also interesting that we have things across the categories too. So just an amazing job. Really quick for homework, I'll send a summary email like I always do. And I appreciate, again, Tegan King from the State Journal's on here. So I'm excited for her publishing the list now for Chavez. So thank you, Tegan, for your teamwork on that and informing the public. What you will see now is in the summary email, and you already got a preview from Elvium and Lindbergh, we are not meeting now. Your portion is complete. You get all these hours back, and I know you're going to miss me a ton, but no, you'll get all these hours back. I will miss you all, though. It has been really nice this summer, and I really value learning from you and being in community with you. And so what will happen is the 24th, it'll go to vote. You can show up in person. You can also watch it via YouTube live stream. I will have the chairs probably there with me. I'm just waiting for confirmation on that. Up until the 24th, our community can continue to give feedback. They can provide written statement through the Board of Education page. They can also sign up to do public comment either at Doyle or over Zoom, as that is a hybrid meeting, or they can provide written statements for the board to see. I also want to thank Jen Kluterman. We are ensuring that the portions of the renaming will also be translated so that it can be fully inclusive to our community. Karen, Stephen, is there anything you would like to say to the committee? And I'll mute so you can go.
Just from the bottom of our hearts, a very deep thank you. Your commitment, your deliberation, your reasons are all what made the top 4 list going forward come to life. So we greatly appreciate that. Stephen's over here.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for being willing to have some tough conversations and put your ideas on the table. We will see in about a week which of the final 4 will be our new school community name. And I'm excited to work with our school and the community this year in our renaming.
Wonderful. All right, because we're in the same room. Okay. This takes me back to COVID. Okay. All right. And so with that, what will happen is you will get the summary email from me, in which you'll also be able to blast to help folks come to the meeting, students, families, community members, taxpayers, whoever wants to let their voices be heard and let the board know. You'll also get an update on what the voting process is going to be, because again, this is unprecedented. So I've submitted a draft proposal for what voting can look like for the board across all 3 names. Dr. Stanford and Dr. McCray are reviewing that right now, and I should be getting an update. Once I get the update, you all will get the update, because I think it's important for you to know as a committee with these shared names. And then you'll also get an update from me on whether the rankings will be shared with the board or not. Knowing that people do want all the rankings shared, I just want to make sure that I'm setting the board up for success as well. Heather, I saw you come off mute. Were there any questions?
Oh, when is this, one of these names going public? Are we allowed to share this?
Yeah, so there'll be a
Fast?
press release. So they're technically public right now, but there will be a press release coming from the comms department, which I'm gonna, as soon as I get off this meeting, that's my next work. And so when that press release goes out, I'll make sure it's shared with you all. It probably also will be one of those emails like we've seen before around the renaming, where everybody in the district gets it, every parent gets it. I would ask if you could wait until we could get the press release from the district. It would be nice in that way, because I think they're going to package it too, so it's also clear, because it's all 3 schools and there's overlap. But however, I mean, if you feel like you want to share it sooner, you know, that is your right. There's no hard and fast rule around that. So, okay. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, hi, friend. All right. We got some names ready for you. Again, thank you all so much. It is 12:16, so I'll turn it to the chair for a motion to end the meeting. And again, just immense gratitude. Chair.
And I also want to show the great appreciation to you, Chelsea, for all to keeping this all together and going. So I don't want to dismiss that either. So thank you to everyone. So on that note, can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
Nate Curley moved to adjourn.
Thank you, Nate. A second, please.
Jamal Jones, second.
Thank you, Jamal. Is there any objection recording unanimous vote for adjournment? I don't see right hands raised or any objections. So then it's 12:17 p.m. on August 17, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great summer, and we'll be in touch soon. Y'all are amazing. Heather, enjoy your trip.